Swept away by the tidal wave of debt and searching for a lifeline? You're definitely not alone. But what if there were secret escape routes, each mapped with a unique strategy that leads you back to financial stability? Interested? But before we begin, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 1. The Avalanche Method. If you're a fan of logic and numbers, the Avalanche Method could be your go-to strategy for conquering debt. But how does this method work? So you start by listing all your debts and identifying the one with the highest interest rate. This is the debt you'll focus on first, making more than the minimum payment each month to reduce it as quickly as possible. At the same time, you continue to make the minimum payments on your other debts. The primary advantage of this approach is that it minimizes the total amount you'll pay in interest over the life of your debts. However, the Avalanche Method requires a strong commitment and a good understanding of your financial situation. You need to be disciplined enough to contribute extra money to your highest interest debt consistently. If you can maintain this focus, you'll find that the Avalanche Method can be incredibly effective in reducing your debt and the amount you pay in interest. But it's not a method that provides quick emotional rewards. You're tackling the most challenging debt first, which means it may take some time to see significant reductions. This can be demotivating for some people, especially those who need to see quick results to stay committed. However, if you're someone who gets satisfaction from making the most financially sound decisions, the Avalanche Method could be the right choice for you. Number 2. The Snowball Method. Next comes the Snowball Method, which takes a completely different approach. Instead of focusing on interest rates, this strategy has you pay off your smallest debt first, regardless of its interest rate. The idea is to gain momentum by quickly eliminating one debt and then applying the money you were using for that payment to the next smallest debt. This creates a snowball effect where the amount you can apply to each subsequent debt grows larger as you eliminate smaller debts. This method offers immediate gratification. Each debt you pay off gives you a psychological win, boosting your morale and your motivation to tackle the next debt. It's a strategy that can be particularly effective for people who have multiple small debts and feel overwhelmed by the prospect of tackling them all. However, the Snowball Method has its drawbacks. Because you're not focusing on interest rates, you may end up paying more in interest over the long term. But for people who find it challenging to stick to a debt repayment plan without seeing quick results, the emotional boost provided by the Snowball Method can be invaluable. Number 3. Other techniques. When it comes to paying off debt, the Avalanche and Snowball methods are the stars of the show. But let's not forget the supporting actors who can also make a significant impact. Debt consolidation. One such method is the debt consolidation technique. This is a method that offers a glimmer of hope for those drowning in multiple debts. The core concept is simple yet effective. You take out a single loan to pay off various other debts you may have. This new loan ideally comes with a lower interest rate than your existing debts, thereby reducing your monthly payments and making them more manageable. However, the effectiveness of this technique hinges on a couple of crucial factors. First and foremost is your credit score. A good credit score is often a prerequisite for securing a loan with a favorable interest rate. Another critical aspect is your financial discipline. Consolidating your debts can provide temporary relief, but it's not a magic bullet. If you continue with the spending habits that got you into debt in the first place, you risk accumulating even more debt, negating any advantages the consolidation may have offered. Balance transfer. Another intriguing approach is the balance transfer method. This involves transferring your highest interest debt to a credit card with a lower interest rate. Often, credit card companies offer promotional periods where no interest is charged on the transferred balance for a certain period. This can be a golden opportunity to pay off your debt faster, but it comes with its own set of risks, like high fees for balance transfers and the temptation to spend more. Debt snowflake. Lastly, let's talk about the debt snowflake method. Unlike its more famous cousin, the Snowball Method, the snowflake approach involves making small, frequent payments towards your debt whenever you have extra cash. It's like chipping away at a large block of ice with a tiny ice pick. Over time, these small payments can add up and make a big difference. While the strategies mentioned above can help you reduce your problems, let's talk about the root of it all: interest. the problem of piling interest. Interest is the unseen force that quietly inflates your debt, turning what seemed manageable into a financial monster. It's the reason why your debt seems to have a life of its own, growing bigger even when you're not looking. According to a report by the Congressional Budget Office, interest costs increased by 35% last year and are projected to rise by another 35% in 2023. This is alarming, to say the least. The issue with accumulating interest is that it can quickly turn your debt into an insurmountable mountain. For instance, if you only make minimum payments on your credit card, the interest keeps piling up, making it harder for you to clear your debt. What's worse, rising interest payments can crowd out other financial priorities, leading to a vicious cycle of higher deficits, growing debt, and even more interest payments in the future. So what's the solution? Well, it's crucial to tackle the principal amount as aggressively as possible. The faster you reduce the principal, the less interest you'll have to pay in the long run. The time factor. Now, if you're considering making only the minimum payments on your debt, you might want to think again. This approach can stretch your debt repayment timeline to an extent that's almost hard to fathom. For example, let's say you have a credit card debt of $10,000 with an interest rate of 15%. If you opt to make just the minimum payments, you could be looking at a repayment period that spans over 26 years. Yes, you heard that right, more than a quarter of a century to free yourself from a 5-digit debt. Another scenario to consider involves a different payment structure where the minimum payment covers the interest plus 1% of the balance. In such a case, it could take you a staggering 342 months, or roughly 28.5 years to clear your debt. During this time, the interest accrued could be almost as much as the original debt, essentially doubling your financial burden. The clock's ticking, and your debts are wide awake. Opt for the Avalanche, roll with a Snowball, or carve your own path? The road to financial freedom awaits. Your move. Tell us in the comments below. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and sharing so we can keep bringing more content like this. See you next time!